Ouch. And this is Dr. Tommy Show. Welcome. Today we're talking to Dillon Herrington, who is a personal trainer, and he's our trainer here at Echelon Health. And Dillon is going to tell us a little bit about what he's doing today. Not today, but what he's been doing recently. Dillon, you've been working on your form. You're going to be competing in a bodybuilding competition soon, right?
Yes, yeah, in the near future.
Tell us about what's the plan?
Well, everything's mostly tackled in what I call micro and macro cycles. So there's basically a plan of, you try to gain as much weight as you can, the good weight, lean muscle, obviously keeping body fat in check, trying to keep your composition and your form symmetrical. And once you're at that point, then you can start getting ready for pre-contest, which would involve getting as much water from under your skin to showcase.
How long have you been doing it now for this event?
It's probably been about 3.5 months, 4 months of serious training.
And when is your event?
It's aimed for March, but then again, you got to play it by ear.
Oh, wow.
The body doesn't always respond the way you want it to.
And right now you're feeling low under the weather. Is that not unusual when you're training?
Well, the more intensive you train and the more you tend to, like for instance, right now I'm doing 2-a-days. Okay. And there's only so much the body can take before your immune system starts to lower.
So when you're working out and doing these 2-a-days, you have a very probably regimented way about going about. You're not doing like the normal thing what people do, like biceps one day and then triceps another day. Mm-hmm. How'd you arrive at your schedule that you're at now? Is it something that you read about doing some different ones, or did you? Is this something that is a standard schedule that a lot of people do the same type of thing for training?
For the longest time, I used to follow sort of preset plans, things that other people do or other people have had success with. But one thing I learned about bodybuilding is you have to develop your own path. There's no one right way to do it. So what I learned to do is find out different exercises, rep ranges, sets, schemes, anything that I can do to get the most out of my own, results. And it may not work for somebody else, but it works for me.
How many times a week do you work out?
I rarely take any rest days. I find if I divide my muscle groups appropriately, as well as also balance intensity, meaning that I don't go in every single day and just try to push as much weight as I possibly can. Sort of have what I call active recovery days. I train pretty much 7 days a week, at least doing something.
What is your calorie intake right now?
Right now it's up to 7,000. I'm trying to put up another 15 pounds. So it's not going to remain at 7,000. I try to vary my carbs and also, cycle my calories depending on, like for instance, the leg day would be very intensive because it's one of your biggest muscle groups. So even on those days, I would try to shoot for even more than 7,000.
So you're a personal trainer. How much of what you do training for a bodybuilding competition translates into personal training? Is it completely different?
In a lot of ways from the physical aspect, but I think the one advantage me being a bodybuilder helps me with training clientele is mentality, Okay. Bodybuilding is a lot more mental, in my opinion, than it is physical. You have to, there's certain points where your mind wants you to give up. Okay. But, through either sheer willpower or you just telling yourself you can go further, you can achieve more. And I think translating that to clients, just even if they have basic goals that aren't related to bodybuilding, it's a very effective method at connecting with clients.
What is your goal for bodybuilding? Is this something that you'd like to do professionally and make a living at? Obviously, that would be optimal if you could, get endorsements and things like that. So is that your goal?
Yeah, I've never been the type for fame and fortune, sponsorships. It's not exactly the end goal, but to be able to do what I love professionally, of course, that would definitely be the end goal. But, to me, that could just mean being able to compete and live comfortably. It doesn't mean I have to have a Lamborghini in the driveway, which isn't really achievable with bodybuilding these days anyways.
Who are some of your heroes in bodybuilding?
I would say definitely, the original would be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not necessarily just from, he was never necessarily the greatest, bodybuilder, even though he's still considered the greatest. But in my opinion, it was more of his mental approach to everything that is so impressive to me.
What are some of the controversies in bodybuilding? I know, anabolic steroid use is rampant. Some of the other things, though, is, we'd see in professional athletic controversy, I guess, is the wear and tear that happens to a body. So,
Yes.
A lot of these NFL greats from the 60s and 70s are very hard for them to walk now. So is that something that happens in bodybuilding too? Is that something that people aren't aware of?
Very much so. It's there's a misconception with bodybuilding that in order to compete and achieve the level of conditioning, you have to take pharmaceuticals, whether it be anabolic steroids, human growth hormone, or things such as a lot of guys take T3, to speed up their thyroid.
Oh, yeah.
Insulin injections, to make the food more effective.
Oh, okay.
So, all these things, obviously they have a tremendous effect. I mean, insulin in itself, using it for bodybuilding purposes is, way more anabolic than testosterone even.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because it just forces all those nutrients into the cells.
Correct.
So when the people are doing insulin, are they eating 7,000 calories a day like you, or do they do less?
I would assume, I'm not very familiar with too many approaches on how they do it. But, doing those type of injections, you would be able to consume, especially carbohydrates, quite a massive amount. So probably in the 9,000 range.
Tell us what your typical dinner would be after your workout.
Well, post-workout, I strive for 3 meals, and those are the most important. Post-workout, your body's like a sponge. So my first meal would be something with high glycemic carbohydrates, something like white rice, white potato. Even sometimes I'll splurge if it's like a leg day and have something with white bread, just because it's a quick-acting source to kind of get glycogen back into the muscles, and glycogen helps. Replenishing glycogen within the muscle helps with recovery. A lot of people mistake protein. They think that that's the end-all be-all, but protein is more of the tool, whereas carbohydrates are the workers. And so I'm a big advocate of consuming a lot of carbohydrates post-workout. So after workout, that would typically be like my main meal. A large serving carbohydrates, and then about 10 ounces of meat.
Good. That sounds actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So I know you got a client coming up, but just let them know if they need it, if they'd like to have your training expertise. What's your availability here at Echelon Health?
Well, I will be here basically in the afternoons mostly.
Okay.
I'm available in the mornings on Friday.
Okay.
As well as availability.
And so we appreciate your helping our people get better.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
And all of you guys out there, if you want to see Dillon, come in. We're accepting new training clients. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.